Anthony Towns really at odds with the Timberwolves organization? What's going on, y'all? 5 Sports Talk back at it with another video talking, of course, some NBA here to talk about this potential rumor, and I shouldn't even say potential rumor, it is a rumor, between the Minnesota Timberwolves and Karl Anthony Towns. And before I start and talk about the rumor, I'm going to talk to you guys about where it came from. So Zach Lowe on his podcast with Brian Windhorst, they were basically talking about this, and what they basically said was, I would pay close attention to what's going on in Minnesota right now, because apparently Karl Anthony Towns and that organization are not on the same page. Okay, something is not clicking with Cat and the Timberwolves. They did not elaborate much on what that thing is, but I believe Brian Windhorst did say if I was the Celtics, I would make a quiet call to Minnesota. What does that indicate? Of course, that perhaps the Timberwolves could look to trade Karl Anthony Towns, which to me sounds ridiculous. But again, this is the rumor. So let's talk about it. Let's see how valid this rumor is, whether or not the Timberwolves should in fact trade Karl Anthony Towns, and why would they even contemplate it. So I do believe the rumor itself, like I said, Brian Windhorst and Zach Lowe are credible reporters, they're credible sources, they've worked in the industry, so they have a pretty good plug and they have good sources. So I'm more towards inclined to believe that whatever they're hearing about Karl Anthony Towns and the so-called rift between him and the organization, there could be some truth to it. Now, I'm not saying that with 100% certainty, but I'm definitely leaning towards that side. So, yes, I believe the rumor for the most part. Let's talk about why or how this rumor possibly got started. I have one name in mind, and that's Tom Thibodeau, because at this point, Tom Thibodeau is the Minnesota Timberwolves organization, for better or worse. And what do I mean by that? He's the GM, president, head coach, basically the de facto everything for the Timberwolves. And if you guys know me, and if you guys have been following my channel for a while, you guys know I hate when teams do this with coaches and they delegate that general manager responsibility to the coach, and they control player personnel decisions and tradings and all that stuff. I think those should always be separated. Clearly, the Timberwolves did not go that route, and so Tibbs does everything. Why do I bring up the fact that Tibbs does everything as being an issue? Because Tibbs is obviously the one who is going to be dealing with player personnel issues. He's going to be dealing with, if the Timberwolves need to improve, he is responsible for improving that team, okay? He's not just a coach at this point, which is, I'll just coach the players you bring to me. No, at this point, he's in control of the players that he brings to the Timberwolves, which is why when Derrick Rose was bought out by the Jazz, I said it's going to make sense for him to go to Minnesota, because Tibbs controls that. And what ended up happening, he ended up going to Minnesota. So with that being said, I think Tom Thibodeau is the reason why. I also know that the Timberwolves fired Karl Anthony Towns' developmental coach after they got eliminated from the playoffs. Not saying it's the end of the world, but it is something, right? And let's take a look at what happened with the Timberwolves, okay? They had their most success for sure this past season. They made the playoffs. Of course, they got eliminated by the Houston Rockets. No shame in that. The Rockets were the best record in the NBA, 65-win team. And they took them to 5 games. At least they didn't get swept. But looking at this team and the future of this team, you take a look at Jimmy Butler, Andrew Wiggins, and Karl Anthony Towns. There still is no clear pecking order, folks. Okay, you had Wiggins, who was drafted and with the Timberwolves first, between these three, and he was looked at as the future, and he had an ascending sort of rookie season to sophomore season, and then completely kind of went into the tank in terms of the expectations we had on Wiggins. I mean, at this point, he was supposed to be a franchise player. He's been nothing more than, I would say, above average wing player in the NBA, really. So that's been underwhelming. Then you had Karl Anthony Towns, who was drafted the year after at number 1, rookie of the year, just like Andrew Wiggins, and he was supposed to be the franchise, and he actually was the franchise. He was putting up monster numbers. I love Cat. This is a guy who I know gets a bad flack for not playing defense and getting dominated in the post, but a guy who's never missed a game in his career. He's 22 years old. He's averaged a triple-double every single season of his career. You don't find those guys just growing on trees, okay? So you had Cat. They didn't make the playoffs, but again, growth was there. Everything was there. Tibbs comes in, of course, lastly in the situation, and then Jimmy Butler gets traded to the Timberwolves, and now you've got Jimmy Butler as kind of the alpha, really. And I say he is the alpha, but really, You've got, again, like I said, Wiggins and Towns. And there's been rifts between Andrew Wiggins being unhappy and being in the third role in this offense. And now I feel like this rift, so-called between between Karl Anthony Towns and the Timberwolves organization is around where does the Timberwolves organization stand on Cat in terms of building their organization around him, okay? Are they building the organization around Jimmy, or are they building it around Cat, okay? Because here's the thing. Wiggins just got an extension. Jimmy Butler's already signed to a deal, or I believe they might have to extend him soon. Karl Anthony Towns is going to want to get paid as well, right? But not only is he going to want to get paid, he's going to want to get paid as the best player in terms of the organization building around him, okay? And I feel like at this point, Tibbs has a favor for Jimmy. He's favoring Jimmy because Jimmy is his guy from Chicago. And at this point, if I'm the Minnesota Timberwolves organization and Cat is unhappy for whatever reason, and let's say the reason is Tibbs is gone. I'm sorry. I need to get rid of Tibbs. I'm picking Cat over Tibbs every single time, 10 times out of 10, and twice on Sundays. Look, folks, I love Tibbs. I followed this man's coaching career, for like the last 10 years or so. Watched him a lot in Chicago. The league has passed Tibbs by. He's not that great of a coach, to be honest with you. He's still good defensively, but offensively, there's a lot there left to be desired. And with Tibbs, we know he's notorious for running his guys into the ground. And I'm not even talking about that at this point, even though that is a valid claim about Tibbs. But just the fact that I don't believe Tom Thibodeau maximizes his players as he used to. Like I said, a few years ago, 2012, 2013, when Derrick Rose was winning MVP, yeah, Tibbs was a great coach. But now I feel like the league has passed him by. He does not sort of incorporate that pace and space style, really, if you will. And he's too stubborn for me, okay? Imagine giving Karl Anthony Towns to a guy like Brad Stevens. You don't think Brad Stevens would turn him into a decent defender? I think he would. So if I had to pick between either of these two, I'm picking Cat every single time. I'm firing Tibbs, or at least I'm taking him out of the GM role, and I'm figuring the situation out. Because if the Timberwolves even think about trading Karl Anthony Towns, they are dumb. They will be foolish to do it, and they will regret it forever. Okay, they've got a great core at this point. If Tom Thibodeau is holding you back, fire him, keep Karl Anthony Towns, build around him, and go from there. So let me know what you guys think. If you guys agree or disagree with me. Again, we don't know the true reason for the discord or disconnect between Cat and the Timberwolves organization. But if it is Tibbs, I'm picking Cat, and I'm taking his side. Let me know what you guys think. Leave a comment down below if you agree or disagree. Make sure to follow me on my social media. Links down below for that. If you guys like my videos, make sure to go ahead and subscribe to my channel. A lot more NBA content coming out, playoffs related, draft coming up. A lot of good stuff, man. Y'all don't want to miss it. So make sure to stay subscribed, stay tuned, stay locked in. Thanks for watching.